One lone hand has raised
Subversive.
up here. Actually, that is one more than I expected, I have to be honest.
Really?
Fuck no. Sorry. We are uncensored, but oh my God, the idea there's any comparison between Diana, who was the biggest star in the world.
Oh, child, let me tell you, the whole thing started like every other Meghan Markle storm with a whisper. You know how it is. A little murmur online, a small tremor on Twitter, and then boom. Out of nowhere, Piers Morgan decides he's not done yet. Lord have mercy, when he moves, the internet burns. This man didn't just talk this time. He dropped something that shook the palace walls all over again. A hidden interview. Never aired, never leaked, never even mentioned. Just sitting there in some dark archive until now. And the second it surfaced, honey, you could almost feel the temperature drop in Montecito. This footage wasn't just another jab or petty gossip. No, this one had teeth. It didn't throw shade. It launched a whole eclipse right over Meghan Markle's sky. People gasped, news anchors blinked twice, and royal watchers across the world froze their teacups mid-sip. Because this one hinted at something the palace never wanted anyone to hear.
When their behavior became obnoxious, self-serving, and rankly hypocritical.
Now listen, when that video hit the web, Meghan reportedly lost it. Not just upset, ballistic, baby. One insider said, and I quote, "She didn't just go nuts, she detonated." And honestly, I believe it. Because what started as a harmless, "Oh, Piers found old recordings," turned into a 5-alarm fire within hours. He'd teased a project on X, saying he'd discovered interviews never cleared by the palace. Everyone thought it'd just be behind-the-scenes banter. But oh no, what came next was like throwing gasoline on the royal flame.
Decision taken by the palace to stop Archie being a prince based on his potential skin color.
The video appeared. Grainy, time-stamped, raw. You can see Piers sitting across from someone with their voice blurred, face masked. At first, folks thought it was just some palace aide. But then the audio sharpened, and you heard that line. 6 words. She always said her plan was bigger than Harry. Baby, 6 words that set social media ablaze. Bigger than Harry? Oh my stars. You could almost hear Buckingham Palace tightening its pearls.
Family or the monarchy, given that 2 of our most famous young royals have waged a 3-year war on the institution.
And let me tell you, the internet went absolutely feral. Every body language expert, every gossip YouTuber, every TikTok detective got busy. Who said it? A palace insider? A former friend? Somebody from Suits? The theories came flying like pigeons in a storm. Then Piers dropped the next hammer. This was part of an interview that was never allowed to air. Never! That's when the tea spilled over the whole table. Hashtags exploded. Hashtag Megxit 2.0. Hashtag bigger than Harry. Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, everywhere you looked, chaos.
Everything that she does, they basically lambast the whole thing.
People were dissecting the clip like scientists. Some slowed it down, others filtered the audio, swearing they recognized the voice. By lunchtime, the memes started. By mid-afternoon, reaction videos. And by evening, news alerts. But behind the memes, Meghan's world was collapsing. Her own sources said she had a total breakdown, not angry, not frustrated, a full-on volcanic eruption. And you can see why. This clip didn't just embarrass her. It undermined everything she's been selling for years. That whole sweet, "I just fell in love with Harry" image, poof, gone. Because now folks were whispering she had bigger plans all along. Insiders say Meghan immediately gathered her inner circle. PR team, legal crew, crisis handlers, everybody on high alert, phones buzzing, laptops glowing, lawyers typing like their lives depended on it. "We need to shut this down," she allegedly said. "We need to shut him down." But come on now, this is Piers Morgan we're talking about. That man lives for drama. The moment Meghan flinched, he smelled blood. And that night, he posted, "There's much more where that came from." Woo, that one line sent her entire camp into full panic mode. Next thing you know, lawyers are firing off letters left and right. Advisors are calling networks. PR reps spinning stories so fast they could generate electricity. And the palace? Silent as a tomb. But oh honey, you know they were watching. Probably with popcorn and a smirk, because the monarchy doesn't forget, doesn't forgive, and never misses a chance to let someone bury themselves. Especially someone who already brought the shovel. Now journalists everywhere started digging. Who was the masked voice? Was it a staffer Meghan once clashed with? A Hollywood friend she cut off, or someone from those early royal days? Back when she was still figuring out how to blend ambition with protocol, the whispers said this person knew Meghan's blueprint early on. That's when it got scary, because if that's true, this wasn't just some gossip. This was someone who knew her, who'd seen her plan long before Harry ever showed up. Meanwhile, Piers wasn't stopping. Oh no, he was teasing more tapes, more context, more buried stories that the palace apparently blocked years ago. He was practically smirking on screen. The man even said, this was a 2-hour trashing of the royal family, like he'd been holding on to dynamite for dessert. And Meghan, she was shaking, because this wasn't just about being called ambitious. It's about The bombshell was that someone credible said it on record, and the footage had been hidden. Her legal team went into overdrive trying to figure out how the clip resurfaced, who had rights to it, and whether they could stop it from spreading. But baby, once the internet gets its hands on something, it's over. Screenshots, mirrors, backups. It's like trying to unspill coffee from a white rug. People weren't even asking if the claim was true. They were asking, why was it buried? Who protected her? And who's talking now? And that one question that burned through everything. Did Meghan always plan to outgrow Harry? Oh, that one stung. Because once people start believing that, every smile, every tear, every poor me looks staged, even Harry, poor boy, became meme material again. Folks saying he looked hollow, lost, drained. Maybe it wasn't true, but it looked true. And in media, honey, that's worse. Piers, meanwhile, was sitting there like the ringmaster of a circus, sipping tea, acting like it was just another Tuesday. He teased viewers saying, "You think that's the only clip? You think she told people the whole truth?" Oh, he was enjoying every second. Messy? Petty? Absolutely. But captivating? Oh, you bet. For Meghan, this was no show. This was war. And she wasn't just fighting Piers, she was fighting perception, palace politics, and maybe even cracks forming inside her own circle. Because someone, somewhere, had clearly switched sides. And honey, that's when the second explosion hit. The internet detectives did their magic. Within hours, they didn't just guess who the hidden voice was, they found her. A small TikTok account with barely 3,000 followers posted a side-by-side comparison. The mysterious voice versus an old panel discussion from years ago. And child, the match was perfect. Same rhythm, same sharp breath before speaking, same little laugh at the end of each sentence. Within an hour, the voice analysis accounts confirmed it. 2 hours later, Twitter caught fire. 3 hours after that, the name was everywhere. And baby, it wasn't just some random person. Oh no, this was someone who knew Meghan. Before the palace, before the titles, before the fairy tale. Someone who had been part of her inner circle back when she was still figuring out how to climb that royal ladder. The internet erupted, because if this woman was speaking now, it meant one thing. The walls around Meghan's story were starting to crack. The old friends, the old allies, they were breaking ranks. And Meghan, she knew exactly what that meant. The moment that identity dropped, her whole team went into red alert. Lawyers firing off emails at 3 a.m., phones ringing, crisis managers barely breathing. By sunrise, you could almost hear the tension buzzing out of Montecito. She wanted names, contacts, legal options, everything. Because if one person had started talking, who else might open their mouth next? Meanwhile, Piers Morgan was out there grinning like the cat that caught the royal canary. When reporters asked him about the voice leak, he just shrugged and said, "I didn't name anyone. The public did. I can't help it if they've got good ears." Then, honey, he leaned in with that smug little smile and dropped the line that froze Meghan's whole world. And now, let's move to clip number 2. Oh my lord, no warning, no intro, just a cut to another grainy clip from that same hidden archive. This time, the voice was clearer, and what she said made jaws drop across the globe. She always said the goal wasn't to join the royal family, it was to outgrow them. 5 seconds, that's all it took. 5 seconds that lit the internet on fire again. Inside Piers' studio, chaos. His staff gasped. Phones started ringing live on air. Social media detonated. And Meghan's team, they didn't gasp. They scrambled. Immediate lockdown. Digital triage. Search engines monitored. Old contacts checked. Damage control in overdrive. Crisis lawyers reportedly stayed on calls till 3 in the morning, trying to figure out how much worse it could get. But the scariest part? The palace said nothing. Not a word. No sources close to the royals. No calm little briefings to cool things down. Just silence. And that silence, darling, was louder than thunder. Because if the palace doesn't step in to deny something, maybe, just maybe, they're letting the storm do their work for them. And Meghan felt that silence, every second of it. Because deep down, she knew. If this insider gave 2 explosive clips, there could be 20 more. And Piers Morgan, that man knows the value of suspense. He was playing the long game, drip-feeding chaos to keep the world hooked. The media frenzy became unstoppable. Morning shows debated what outgrow them really meant. Was it ambition? Strategy? Revenge? Every word twisted like a knife. Even outlets that used to defend Meghan started backing away. You could feel it. Anchors choosing their words carefully, reporters hesitating before calling her a victim. The tide was shifting, and Meghan could sense it. And then came the curveball no one expected. Trevor Engelson, her ex-husband. His name suddenly shot up the search trends. Not because he said anything, but because he turned off his Instagram comments the very moment Piers dropped that second clip. Within minutes, fans noticed. Within hours, he went completely offline. And honey, that silence from Trevor, that shook Meghan to her core. Because she knows better than anyone what he could say if he ever decided to. Multiple insiders whispered that her team reached out to him immediately. Not for a friendly chat. Oh no, this was business. Damage control, containment, a keep quiet and stay quiet kind of call. Because if Trevor started talking, it wouldn't just be tea. It'd be a full royal roast. And Piers? He smelled fear in the water. On his next show, he ended with the most chilling tease yet. We haven't even gotten to the real part of the interview. My goodness, you could practically hear the collective gasp across the internet. If this was just the warm-up, what on earth could be waiting in that real part? By the next morning, Montecito was chaos. Reporters parked outside, security pacing the driveway, cars coming and going non-stop, lights on in every window. You could almost picture Meghan pacing too, clutching her phone, trying to control a story that had already slipped through her fingers. The whole house turned into a war room. Legal calls, PR drafts, frantic emails, all boiling down to one desperate question. How do you fight a ghost from the past when the whole world wants to hear it speak? Because that's what this clip was, a ghost. Proof that someone from her own circle wasn't on her side anymore. Proof that maybe, just maybe, all those polished interviews, those teary confessions, those victim narratives weren't the whole truth. And honey, that's the kind of doubt you can't erase. If this insider was right, if Meghan always planned to outgrow the monarchy, then everything starts to crumble. Every sympathetic headline, every poor Meghan story, every emotional documentary. It all starts looking like strategy instead of sincerity. And Piers knew it. Oh, that man lived for it. He smiled right into the camera, gave that dramatic pause, and ended the show with one last line. Calm, almost casual, but sharp enough to cut glass. This story is far from over. And child, the internet believed him.